Hey folks, Mr. Bucko here. I am going to kind of go over a couple of logistics or basics of your MCA test navigator here. So I have just the item sampler up that we have access to via our Schoology page, where you come to this and you can enter your name. I'll enter my name here, and then I will start. And section 1, 9 questions. I'm not going to do all 9 of them. I'll just do the first couple, and just to kind of illustrate the highlights of the test navigator tool that you'll be using here. So questions look like this. You'll notice that there are a couple things that might be somewhat obvious, somewhat not. The first thing here is we have exhibits. That's just going to be your formula sheet. So you can click on exhibit, then you can close it out, click on it, and you can reference the formula sheet. They give you the Pythagorean theorem, they give you the distance formula, slope of a line, slope-intercept form, point slope form, and standard form, and the function for an arithmetic sequence and the function for a geometric sequence. All that stuff's there. That should be available to you for all of the tests, and you just get that by clicking on exhibits there. So that's kind of cool. The next thing that I would like to show you here is this text-to-speech deal, in case you want to hear whatever the question or the prompt is. So you can choose the volume, you can move that up and down. Looks like you could be able to choose the voice, but looks like that's kind of locked here, so I can only choose looks like a female voice there. Then you can change the speed of that too to normal, fast, or slow. And if you press play, goes through what that is. I hope that you can hear that there. I'll be doing this again. So I'll try that one more time. So you can see that they highlight the words that they're saying there, and you can speed it up. And then you have this option to kind of toggle click to hear. So you can click that on, and then you can just click on whatever it is that you wanted to say. So actually that's not happening, but whatever gets highlighted is something that can be said there. So then you can turn that off so that you can kind of disable that feature there. So a couple more things here is that we have these options up top. We have a pointer, which is what I have here, and that's what I'm going to use to choose my answer. And then we have a notepad, which in some cases might be somewhat helpful, and all you can really do here is just type things. So that may or may not be useful in some of these problems where you might actually want to write some things down. They have the calculator, which is a TI-84, which is unfortunate because we are not extremely familiar with that, but hopefully just the basic functions you can kind of be familiar with as far as what you need to be able to do. So that's kind of what this looks like. So I would encourage you to kind of get somewhat familiar with that, so you're not kind of looking around for stuff and kind of spending time doing that when you know how to do things, but maybe not with this calculator. So there's the calculator, and then to get out of that, and then you just click it again. And then there's an answer eliminator too. So as you're going through these things, if you want to eliminate answers and say, well, I don't like that one, don't like that one, don't like that one, you can kind of click those things, and then you can click them again, and they'll go away. So that'll maybe, for those of you that want to just see certain answers that you know aren't correct disappear, then you can do that. There's also drop-down menu here, so there's stuff all over the place. You can change the background, the foreground color, so you can kind of mess around with this and see what that looks like if you want to kind of have a different contrast for your viewing style. That's all there, so that's kind of nice. And then we also have a magnifier enabler, so you can kind of just take this and then you can kind of click and drag, then you can bring that over in case you want to see what that 11 looks like, or negative 11 looks like up close. That's pretty cool, negative 11, and you can just kind of magnify that. That might be useful if for whatever reason this might be not very clear, or when we get to graphs, that might be a nice tool to use. There's also this line reader mask, so you can kind of cover everything, and then you can change the size of this, and you can kind of just move it down and just see one thing at a time. And again, you can manipulate this and change it to however you want, so you can kind of just see one thing at a time. You'll notice I still have the answer eliminator selected there, so I'll kind of take that away, and that goes away. So there's that. to kind of highlight that. And again, you can make this as big or small as you want to. So depending upon what the problem is, you can kind of just change that to whatever you might want that to look like. And then I'll disable that. You can actually, it looks like you can have more than one thing at a time. So now we have the mask and the magnifier at the same time. Even do the mask and then change the background color. So you can mess with a lot of these things at the same time. It's not one thing at a time. So I'll leave it as just blue for the time here. And then I'll hide the line reader mask, and then I'll enable answer masking. So here you can just cover all the answers. So if you want to maybe just answer the question, this isn't very helpful in this instance. And then you can kind of click this to expose the answer, and then click it again to hide it again. So those are some basic tools there. I'm going to make this go away by clicking the wrench. We can bookmark a question. If I get through something and I say, oh man, I think it's, which sequence is arithmetic? Geez, I think it might be this one, but I'm not so sure. I can bookmark it, and then that'll kind of be saved. And when you go to review, question 1 will pop up as a bookmarked question, so you can kind of go back and check that one again. So I'm going to unbookmark this because I'm going to answer the question. I'm actually going to change it back to the foreground color of the default because I kind of like that better. I'm going to disable the answer masking because that's not something that I want to deal with right now. And I'm going to answer the question here. Which sequence is arithmetic? Well, an arithmetic sequence is a sequence that increases or decreases by the same amount from term to term. So it's increases or decreases, meaning we add or subtract the same amount from term to term. The change is constant. So which of these four have a constant increase or decrease from term to term? The first one is 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 to 64. I see the pattern there is times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 32 times 2 is 64. That might be construed as a constant because we're multiplying by 2, but when we say a constant in arithmetic, we want it to be additive or by subtracting. We're not adding or subtracting the same amount from term to term, we're multiplying. So this one is not an option, so I'm going to use my answer eliminator and cross that one out. That's not right. If I come down here to part B, or answer B, it's 11, 12, 14, 17, 21. So that changes. 11 to 12 is 1, then it's a 2, then it's plus 3, then it's plus 4. Well, that's adding from term to term, but it's not a constant. We're changing what we're adding from term to term, so that's not right either. So I'm going to cross that one out. Then I'm going to come down to C, get the pointer back on, and it's 28 to 15 to 2. So 28 to 15 is minus 13. 15 to 2 is minus 13. 2 to negative 11 is minus 13. Negative 11 and negative 24 is minus 13. So this is decreasing by 13 every time, which is in line with what arithmetic is. So this one is a reasonable choice right now. But let's just double check part D just to see where we're at here. 30 to negative 25 is minus a lot. 55. 30 minus 55 is negative 25. Then we go from negative 25 to positive 20. Well, that's back up. So we subtract 55 to get from 30 to 25. And we're going to add 45 to get from negative 25 to 20. So that's not in line with what an arithmetic sequence is, because an arithmetic adds or subtracts the same amount from term to term. Here we're going from subtracting to adding back and forth, and it's not even the same amount. So that's not an accurate answer either. So our correct answer here would be C, and then we can move on to the next question.